All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right, my name is Ron Hudson. For those who haven't met me before, I'm the Director of Admissions here. I'm going to be joined today by Ms. Kinda Beard, our Associate Director of Admission. And what we're going to cover today, it's kind of like they say in church sometimes, this is the part where everyone can join in. At least that's what they say right before offering. We won't be taking up offering, but we will be happy for anything that you have to offer. But what we're going to cover today is something at our institution that you can all be a part of, and that's our campus recruitment efforts. So this session that we're going to cover today is called Campus-Wide Recruitment. Simply what it is, we're going to go over some of the different things that we do out of our office to recruit prospective students here to campus, and also different strategies that we use to kind of dictate those particular activities that we participate in. Also, we want to explore different ways where others outside of our office can partake in some of our different recruitment activities and strategies. Now here, recruitment is just something we do that's just part of the lifeline of the college. It also has some strategic plan implications. It's also attached to our overall goals and our future here at UA-PTC. What I wanted to do was point out some of those particular strategic plans implications and just kind of show you where it ties into it at. As you can see, our recruitment efforts tend to fall into priority 4, which is building and maintaining a cohesive marketing messaging plan that includes distribution across multiple mediums. And most specifically, 4.2, create robust face-to-face college recruiting opportunities, and 4.4, empower all UA-PTC students and employees to be ambassadors of the college. Now, I want to have our discussion today kind of led by these particular leading questions. First, who are our students? And what factors guide their decisions about their college choice? Next, where do we interact with our students at? And also, when should we recruit them? And lastly, why should they attend UA-PTC? And how are we spreading that message? How are we letting those prospective students know that we're going to be the best choice, the best fit for them? First off, I kind of want to talk a little bit about, as far as who are our students, our student profile. Now, most of this is data, well, pretty much all this is data that you can actually find that our put out on our fast fact sheets. Part of the reason why we look at these particular things is it helps us to analyze the trends. What's going on with our students? As you can see here, our overall head count has gone down in recent years, and we had a little bit of increase back in the fall. But you can also see some differences upon the type of credentials that they seek. We have quite a few students who come and attend with us to seek the transfer degree, and others who come in to take occupational technical programs. And also, when we look at full-time versus part-time, we look at the number of our part-time students has actually increased over the past couple of years. Other things we look at as far as student demographics, we can look at some different trends in our race and ethnicity. We noticed that our black and white student populations have actually been pretty consistent throughout the time, though there is somewhat of a decline with some of our African American students. But we also have some increases in our Hispanic student populations and other populations, which can be students identifying as 2 or more races, or even our international student populations. There have been some increases there. As far as gender, we've been pretty consistent. The ladies outweigh the men here by a long shot, but it's been pretty consistent throughout this time. And also, you'll notice that our average student age has probably been one of our biggest changes. We're getting younger as time goes by. Now, when you look at all these different things on the student profile, coming from a recruitment standpoint, you have to look at these different trends and try to figure out what's going on here. Why are these different things happening? And you have to answer those particular questions to figure out how are we going to continue to recruit in the future. Now, something else I like to look at are the college going rate reports that ADHE publishes on like a 2-year cycle, if I'm not mistaken. It's normally about 2 years behind. But it's good to look at this data because it gives you some very telling things about our local school districts and the places that we go to recruit. Now, when you look at like our top feeder schools, the majority are coming from either the Little Rock School District, Pulaski County Special School District, or North Little Rock. And through this particular chart, so what you see are the number of graduates from those particular schools, how many of those graduates actually go to college at all, and the percentage of that. Now, you also can take a look at, out of the ones who attend college, how many of them are attending UA-PTC? And so you get to see like what percentage of those seniors actually come here to at our institution. Now, you can also look at this report and it'll show other schools within our service area, and you can get a pretty comprehensive listing so that you can get an idea of how many of those students are coming to school. But I think one of the most telling stories about it is if you look at two-year college data, the majority of the students who attend two-year college are going to attend a two-year college in their service area, by far. So when we look at, oftentimes you look at competitors, normally it's really not an issue for students within your service area who attend a two-year college going to another two-year college. If you want to look at it from that type of comparison, you have to look more so at how many of them are attending four-year colleges. What type of programs are they seeking? What type of activities and other interests do they have that's guiding them in that direction opposed to attending here? Now, these are some other college choice influences, and I know this might be kind of difficult to read from that distance, but there's some things I collected from some research. Someone actually sat down and did a dissertation on student choices. Go figure. But I can tell you, and I always say that one of the things that we do in recruitment or admissions or enrollment management is that we work really hard at trying to predict the unpredictable, and that's your college student. But these are some different factors that influence their choices. Their family, their peers, the characteristics of the institution, communication from the institution, and also whether or not they have a good institutional fit. And then you see the other things that go under those. And there's some pretty interesting ones here. Some that you probably can just think of just from your interaction with students, some that may be pretty surprising. As I looked at it, the family influence, you'll see that. For the students who come attend here, it's an event. It's a family event. Oftentimes when students come visit our offices or come up here for tours, they bring mom, dad, auntie, child, whoever. So the family has a large influence over them attending. Now, peers. Peers do have a whole lot to do with influencing others. I used to say all the time, if we could just go out to every school, find the most popular kid and recruit them to our college, everybody else would follow. But believe it or not, it does have some influence. I've known times where I've been out recruiting, you have a group of kids come out of the table, neither one of them will stop and talk to you. And that one will sneak back on their own and fill out a contact card. Either they're trying to get away from their friends, or they just didn't want their friends to know where they had planned on going to school at. But it happens all the time. But peers do have a pretty large influence. The other part of that too, oftentimes when we have students come visit our campus, we're taking them around for a tour, they run into someone who went to high school with them. And all of a sudden it's an instant connection. And from there, you can kind of see, well, I'm planning on going to school that next year because someone that I know is already attending there. Also, that person can share information with them about their experience here. So if they're having a great experience and they tell a friend that they're having a great experience, chances are we probably will see that friend the next year. Institutional characteristics. Now, different things will come up with that. Because a lot of times the students don't necessarily know. I've actually had students come up and like ask about particular programs and degrees that we don't even have, or say that they plan on attending here and not know that. Oftentimes when they're trying to match up the characteristics, it's so much is about the exposure. Has anyone told them what we have to offer? Has anyone told them how much we cost? Has anyone told them where we're located? Quite a bit of the students who travel here to our campus that live nearby have never been on our campus before. And we find that out within like the first few minutes while they're here. Because normally they say, wow, I didn't realize you guys were this big. Or I didn't know that, hey, you guys are a real school. You have a lot of buildings here. So a lot of times with institutional characteristics, hopefully the student has done their research, but if no one has told them how to do it, a lot of times they haven't. And that also goes with institutional fit. Now, institutional communication, most of that's all on us because it starts with us. One thing about the communication to our students is that we want to tell our own story. We want to have ownership of our story. If we don't own it, someone else will. And when someone else owns your story, things get a little bit misconstrued. So when we're out there and we're trying to share information with students, or even if we communicate with them through emails, our online communication, brochures, anything that goes out, we want to make sure that we're the ones that's controlling that communication. And it's very impactful to our students as well. Now, I would say our primary function with recruitment is relationship building. We talk a lot about recruiting the student, but recruitment actually goes beyond the student. When you go out and recruit, you're not just recruiting the students that are before you, you're also recruiting the educators that work with them. You're recruiting their counselors, you're recruiting their teachers, you're recruiting anyone who has some type of touch with that student within that educational sector. Because those are the ones who generally guide them along their way. They're the ones who make the connection between that student's interest, their student's strength, and what we have to offer here. They're also the ones who endorse the institution. One thing I can tell you is that when you go to a school, you find out quickly how they feel about you when you go into a counselor's office. Either you walk in and you see some gift that you've given them a couple years back, or even their reaction, whether or not they give you the opportunity to go inside of a classroom, or if they just stick you in the cafeteria at lunchtime. Those relationships with the counselors and the teachers are golden for us. So you want to make sure that you have very strong relationship with them, because they'll be the ones to endorse you and actually send students your way. Now, another valuable relationship to create is with our community partners. Community partners can be everything from after-school programs to certain agencies to industry partners. But those relationships are important for a number of different reasons. When you think about our industry partners, they're the ones that are going to be looking to hire our students after they graduate. And that is a very common question that you get from students, and a common concern. If I come to your institution, if I get that degree, will I be able to get a job? So when you have those community partners, those industry partners saying, yes, we have a job for you if you go to this school, that's a very strong endorsement. And you will have students come to you just for that particular reason. Now, other partnerships, the after-school programs, the different agencies out there, we all share a common goal. A lot of them get funding to send people off to get certificates, to get training, to get their education so that they can go out and get jobs. Those connections are very strategically strong for us, because those are resources that we may not always have, but the other agencies might. I can recall a college fair I was at once, and there was a lady from the Central Arkansas Planning Division, and our first words to each other was, I have money to send kids to school. And I'm like, I got a school to send them to. And from there, we actually kind of created a friendship, and she would just kind of send me names of students or invite me to come out and talk to students about different things there at the agency, because a lot of times with those agencies, they don't always know. They don't always have the direct contact to try to get some of those things done. I can remember working with the Single Parent Scholarship Fund one year. Some representatives came in, we sat down, and they actually said they were having a hard time giving the scholarship out and wanted to know how are we getting the message out. And so at the time, we're like, we just kind of give it when someone asks about it, because we can't like profile a student and say, hey, I think you will be great for this particular scholarship. But what happened, there was a disconnect there. And oftentimes in our profession, in our field, we're the connectors. We get those potential students connected with those agencies that have those resources. But it's great, because especially when you're looking at like our non-traditional population, a lot of them may not be eligible for financial aid or use up financial aid, and they're trying to find other ways for eligibility or ways to help them finance their school. So those agencies play a very significant role for us as well, or those community partners. And lastly, parents or any other like family support members. They're going to be very vital to create those relationships with, because along with just influencing them about where to go, they're going to be the ones that are going to support them throughout the way. Sometimes mom and dad are the ones footing the bill. So definitely their influence is going to be really large, because if they say I'm paying for it, that's where the kids are going to go. The other part is, as a lot of you probably know with some of our students, whether if they have kids at home, a family member helping out with that, whether or not transportation issues, a family member may be bringing them to and from school. So sitting down, having those conversations with those support members is a very important thing for us to do because it helps us from the very beginning to make those connections, get those support members educated about the processes as well. That's a lot of what we also see. Those support members are looking for answers on how to do things and also find better ways to support that student when they get started up. So definitely parents and family are great relationship builders. Now, this part gets a little tricky. Depending on where you go and how it's defined, what people consider strategies or activities kind of intertwine with one another. I tried to break it up like this because it made sense to me, and I'm hoping it makes sense to you. Now, as far as the different strategies that we use predictive modeling, targeted recruitment, expanding our reach, brand distinctiveness. Now, just to break each one of those down, in the simplest form, what predictive modeling is, you utilize the data. You gather up data kind of like with the things we had earlier, and you try to use that to forecast particular outcomes. In our particular arena, what you're doing is you're looking at trends and trying to figure out what's going on with our students, how will enrollment look next year, how are our recruitment efforts actually paying off for us, what type of return on investment are we getting. And when you look at that data, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the instruments that we use or some of the things we have at our disposal, but when you look at that, that's what you're using to drive some of these other activities. The same way with the targeted recruitment, which mainly is when you go out and you focus on particular areas, particular populations. Like say we're trying to get more students enrolled into a particular program. So now we're going to target students that are interested in that program so we can try to bring them in. Or let's say we're trying to raise our international student population. Now we're looking at what do we need to do to draw more international students in. Let's say we're trying to get more female students in our STEM programs. And we've done that. Our STEM success has actually reached out or had some different activities that did just that. So that's what the targeted recruitment is. You're identifying particular populations that you want to try to raise or want to try to get things in line for, and you utilize data and other things to go out and do that. Expanding our reach. Now, typically we're going to recruit within our Central Arkansas service area. When we talk about expanding our reach, it can either be outside of our service area or it can be for particular populations the same way with targeted recruitment. What makes that important is that I didn't put the report on the presentation, but we were sent a report basically showing like the different class sizes in our local high schools. I've looked at those things before, and what you have to look at is if you become really heavy on your high school recruitment from particular schools, what happens when enrollment at those schools begin to drop? So all of a sudden, your enrollment at the college begins to drop. So you have to start looking at ways to expand your reach, and you have to look into this pipeline pretty early. And I'll say this, I know on one of the earlier slides I talked about when is the best time to recruit students, when is it not? One thing I've never been able to understand is that for any of you all who are into NCAA sports, think about this. At what ages are they recruiting football players and basketball players nowadays? Right, junior high. If that kid happens to turn out to be 6'2" in the 7th grade, they're looking at him. If he can bench 260 pounds in the 9th grade, they're already looking at him. With athletics, those coaches recruit pretty early. Academics, we normally don't start seeing the students until junior, senior year. And oftentimes at that point, their GPA has already started. They've already started taking tests. A lot of them are already making decisions on where they want to go at that point, the ones who are really diligent. So when you think about how early is too early or when should we start, I'd say always. Any interaction that we have, and I'll admit, it can get a little bit annoying when you go out to a school and they bring every grade in that school there, because it has happened. And it makes for a very long day. And you're meeting little kids or younger kids that are looking at your view books and stuff like, I have no idea what this is, but since it's free, I'll take it. But the thing is, you're creating a pipeline when you do that. You're creating a relationship when you do that. Oftentimes, you may be the very first person that sat down with that kid and told them that there's a possibility that they can go to college. That's a very valuable impression to leave on the kid. So even if they're at the younger ages, hey, welcome it. If they're inviting us out to it and it's within our service area, welcome it. So yes, that will happen, but take advantage of those situations and start creating that pipeline early. Now, with our branding distinctiveness, oftentimes we leave most of our branding out to our PR and marketing team, and that's generally where it's going to start at. But honestly, every person at this institution has some stake in our brand. Every person at this institution can leave a perception that will reflect back on our brand. Now, I was thinking about this on the way this morning to work. Now, I know everyone in here watches the news. Nothing burns me worse than when, especially in the state of Arkansas, when an incident happens in the state of Arkansas, who is the person they always seem to pick to do the interview?
No, the most uninformed.
The most uninformed. I mean, I just think about the stuff, the memes that make it on the internet. All our internet sensations were those people who said the craziest stuff on camera, and all of a sudden they went viral and they're everywhere. And so, like, a few years ago, I never knew who Sweet Brown was until a house caught on fire. And so, you know, it's crazy the people who make the news. But when you think about it from an institutional standpoint, that's brand distinctiveness. The people who are out representing the school, you are representing the brand. And you want to make sure you always make a good impression. I will admit, just personally, I have to sit on my hands a lot. When I look at things like Facebook and I see political commentary, I can't say a word because I don't ever want it to reflect back on the school. But at the same time, when I'm out at events, I'm very cautious about what I say. I'm very cautious about what I do because anything that I say and do will reflect back on the institution. We'll talk about this a little bit more on a later slide, but even times when you're out somewhere, and people will do this to you all the time, they've done it to me, they'll see where you work, and they'll tell you about every other school they attended and how it was the worst place ever. One part of me is like, I know the people at that school, I don't think they would treat you like that. The other part of it is you can't be roped into that. Because if you say something negative about another school, it'll find its way back to you. And you can best believe that a lot of people are doing the same thing to us. And so, once again, it's all about that brand distinctiveness, making sure, keep it classy always. Because people are looking at us as you are UA-PTC. When you're out there, you are UA-PTC to them. Now, as far as the different activities, college fairs, probably one of the most common things that we do. But we also do different types of outreach. We also do various types of marketing, campaigns, and campus visits. Now, as we begin to talk about our college fairs, we'll talk about our association, which is called the ARKACRAO, or the Arkansas Collegiate, oh, it's just too long a name. The Arkansas Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers. In the fall, the majority of the college fairs that we go to are going to be organized by ARKACRAO. And it's actually a pretty good thing because what ARKACRAO does is that they work with the schools to consolidate these particular fairs. I've actually worked on the ARKACRAO board for a few years, and it's a major benefit for us to be a part of it. By them organizing these fairs, it keeps recruiters from having to zip back and forth from all these different schools throughout the state. Some of them even on the same day. Because what they do is they make a calendar, and so you try to get the schools together from particular areas, so it makes it easier. It also helps the schools out because you can get more representation from more colleges as long as it's organized. If it wasn't for that, what normally happens is what we call rogue fairs, where you'll get an invitation from this high school on this day, an invitation from another high school across the state on the same day, an invitation from somewhere else on the same day as well. And it gets pretty difficult because from a relationship standpoint, you actually hate to tell them no, because that can ruin your endorsement. Those times when you're like, we can't come, depending on how well they receive that, it can mean a lot whether or not you're invited the next year or whether or not they send students your way. So it helps at ARKACRAO is consolidating these fairs. Now, one of the first things they do each year, I'll see how long this takes to load, are the articulation workshops. Now, what the articulation workshops are the state is broken up into 4 regions. 4. And as the state's broken up into those 4 regions, we actually get the opportunity at the beginning of the semester to meet with the different counselors from across state. Those regions will be the North, Northeast, Northwest, South, and Central. We'll see here in a minute where they were last year. I actually was able to coordinate these. I was actually the articulation workshop coordinator for about 3 years. It was actually pretty fun for me. It was challenging though, because whenever you do it, you're reaching out to counselors, you're reaching out to schools, you're reaching out to colleges that are hosting it because they're going to be held at a college, and you're trying to get everybody together to come in for it. But they're a pretty big event for us because it's the first opportunity that the high school counselors will have to meet with the various college representatives at the very beginning of the year. This is the time in which we introduce new programs. This is the time that we introduce any new happenings on our campus. And it's also a time where, back to like expanding our reach, some of these places that we don't generally travel to, this may be the only time those counselors get to hear from us. And so oftentimes they're all sitting there with their directories. You say something neat that we're doing this year, they're writing it down, because now all of a sudden they know that UA-Pulaski Tech has this new program, or we've got this new benefit, a new resource for a student, and they're looking like, I know a kid that would be ideal to go to attend there. So we make sure that we attend this each year. And like I said, these were the ones from last year, and you can kind of see the scope of where they were hosted at. Up in Blytheville, Fort Smith, way down in Magnolia, and the Central was over here at Harding University in Searcy. So, and the new dates will be coming up soon, or coming out soon for the next year. Now, something else that ARKACRAO issues out is a statement of good practice. These are basically the rules and regulations, the guidelines that we have to abide by as recruitment officers when we go out. Now, honestly, it's really great to have these in place, because if they weren't, the things that would happen you probably would not want to see. Certain things that are out there, it's a pretty long list. I'm not going to go through them all, but I'll just tell you some of the basics. Some of the things that they instruct us on is, when you have your table setups and everything, you can't have anything that's going to obstruct the view of another table. So big displays and things like that, we can't have. You also can't give out much more than brochures, pamphlets, pens, pencils, and things of that nature. Now, I know some of you have been out and you're probably like, oh man, so-and-so and so-and-so has been just giving out a ton of stuff. You have to wonder whether or not it's an ARKACRAO fair or not, because the ARKACRAO fairs are not supposed to. The reason behind that is, if we were just all allowed to give away stuff, whoever has the deepest pockets in higher ed would probably get the most students, because they would just give out the most valuable swag to attract the kids. And so that's part of the reason why the organization tries to police that to make sure it doesn't happen. Also, you can't do anything disruptive. We used to always have to get on the military, because, you know, being a military retiree myself, what they would always do, you'd have push-up contests, pull-up contests, and things of that were very disruptive, to the point where the students couldn't hear the other representatives trying to tell them about their school. And so all of those particular things are in place, and they're just a specific code of ethics. You'll see things in there about not speaking poorly about other colleges or anything like that, making sure that you're giving out accurate information to students and things. So it's really important to have these things in place, and if you're going to be out at any of their events, you have to make sure that you abide by it. We have to pay a membership fee each year, and they can actually take away or revoke your membership, which takes away your privileges to attend these particular events. Now that you've all listened to me for a while, we're going to have a little activity. We're going to have our own little college fair here, and we're going to have your host, Ms. Kinda Beard, to walk you through this. We're going to take one of our admissions officers, Ms. Deborah Whittick, and she's going to be one of our college representatives. And I need 2 volunteers to be 2 more. Any brave souls in the room?
Thank you.
Okay. Come on down, Becca.
Thank you.
Here you go.
All right, awesome. Yeah. You're a rep. So you get to find, yes, so you're a rep. And I am, yes, so, and I am the potential student, so I have questions for you. Okay? So these are like the fun things, guys. These are the things that, this is a time that you get to meet these students. This is a time that you get to see the students and see what we're doing, talk to them about what we're doing, what your programs are doing. You are,
Hard to hear.
I'm hard to hear.
So you might want to project a little bit.
Okay, you know I can be loud.
Yes, I know.
Okay. So anyways, these are the times that you can kind of get to know the institution. The students are going to come to you. They're going to like, hey, ask various different questions. So this is time for you guys to shine. This is kind of the sell your area, sell UA-PTC. So I'm Kiana. What's this? Are y'all a real college?
We are definitely a real college. We have a great, I project. We have great opportunities for students
Like
in
what?
multiple areas. What are you interested in?
I don't know. My mama said I gotta go to college, so I need to do something.
All right, well, we've got plenty of programs. We've got things in technical world where you can do all kinds of technical things, and we actually can cook at our school.
I don't like to cook. I like to eat.
Oh, well, you can eat what you cook. Then we also have a great business program. We have fine arts. We have things where you can act and you can do plays and you can play music. We have some incredible sciences going on where you can blow things up.
Okay. I'll think about it.
All right, well,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you.
So those are some things that you'll see. You'll see some students that are really like interested in maybe your college or kind of like that, like, are y'all real college? Like, what do y'all do? Like, because they kind of already know where they're gonna go. Like, sometimes I could have said, okay, y'all real college? Well, I'm not going there. I'm going to UAPB, or I'm going to UCA, or I already know my school. I'm going to go to the University of Memphis. And so I'm impressed. Becca did really well. She did really good. She was able to say, hey, like, no, we have several different programs here. You can cook at your institution. Very good energy when I was kind of like being kind of standoffish, because there's some students that will kind of be standoffish because they're really not interested in you. They're just there because their school is making them go. Sometimes they have little sheets. I know some of my friends that always come out with me that have little sheets of things they have to talk about, or just have to, kind of like a passport thing. Like, let me just get through and kind of see. Sometimes we do sell students that are like, well, okay, maybe I didn't think about that, because scholarship opportunities. That's like, hey, like, that's kind of how I do. I'm like, hey, did you know about this? It's free scholarships. You can, so that's kind of good. So kudos, Becca. Thank you. Hi.
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Good.
Good?
Yes. So I am a mom of two, and I've kind of been out of school for a few years, and I just need to get back into. I just need to find a job and go to work. So
you probably don't want to go the 4-year path then. You probably want to.
I mean, I can't right now.
Okay, so we have a lot of degrees that are oriented to where you take 2 years worth of classes and then you're able to have a career. Get pushed out into the field. Are you interested in anything in particular? Do you want to do hair? Do you want to weld?
No. Well, no welding.
No?
I love welding, but no welding. I don't know. Like, I like to be around people. I like to talk. I like to help. I love to help people. I like the medical field, maybe.
Well, we have a lot of stuff in medical field.
Okay.
I think we have respiratory therapy programs, with all kinds of nursing stuff like that.
Okay.
So, would you be interested in stuff like that?
Yeah, that kind of be cool. Do you have any information for me?
Right here.
Okay.
Financial aid stuff.
Oh yeah, I'll probably need that.
So
yeah.
Good information how to get started for that. There are scholarship opportunities for you as well.
Thank you.
And this is sort of our quick guide to get started. So it talks about class size, talks about tuition prices, talks about degrees. You can go to our website and get more information, things like that. And then it talks about us as an institution as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. What was your name?
I'm Jonathan.
Jonathan,
and
nice to meet you.
I teach GMP classes, but if you want to shoot me an email, I can give you my card.
Okay.
And then I can direct you in the right path.
Well, thank
or
you.
you can call me.
Yeah.
You can have you call somebody else.
Okay,
whatever you
cool.
need.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Jonathan did good. Impressed. So that was good. So of course we do have events that we attend, kind of the outreach things that we do work with. Like, I'm working with the reentry program next week. They're coming back, and they don't want to go to school for a long time. They're just here. They're like, hey, I'm a mom. I got some free time. All my kids are in school now because I want to go to school when they're in school. Like, I want to do some stuff. So we do have those parents or, you know, non-traditional students coming back to kind of do those things. Jonathan did really well because sometimes they don't know what they want to do. Like, I need to do something. I've been out of school a long time. I needed some, you know, I need to get some money. I don't have a lot of time to spend. So yeah, very good, very good, very good. All right. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
How are you?
Good. So can you tell me a little bit about your college?
Sure. We're Pulaski Tech, U of A. We're part of the new U of A system.
Are you at 4-year school?
No, ma'am.
Oh,
We're
okay.
only 2 year,
Okay.
but that does not mean anything. We offer all kinds of different programs, and you can always transfer to a 4-year school after
Okay.
this. So we offer many different degrees. What are you interested in?
Oh, I think I want to do social work. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's great. So basically, you would start out as an Associate of Arts degree, get all your basics out of the way with us, get your English, math, sciences, your humanity and art credits, and then transfer on to a 4-year school to finish that social work degree with another partner with us or another institution in state or out of state. We offer all of those transferable degrees.
Okay. I do have another kind of question. Does your institution let like undocumented students in? Because like I'm an undocumented student.
We do offer classes to any student eligible for school in the United States. The only thing is you will not be eligible for financial aid through federal government, but we do have some handouts that I could get you to that partner with undocumented students to help fund college in your future.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. So those are some other questions that we have. So Deborah did really well because we have been known that students that are undocumented, because we do have undocumented students that attend here, they want to know, because I heard that you guys don't let people come here that are undocumented, and we do. They are allowed to hear. Deborah was correct. They are not eligible for federal financial aid. You know, that's not our rule. But they do also get charged out-of-state tuition as well. So their tuition is not going to be the 15 hours of $2,730. It will go up to the out-of-state tuition fee. So, but very good. Thank you. Awesome. You guys can have a seat. Thank you so much. So those are just kind of the fun things. And I know some of my recruiter partners in here, they kind of see how these things kind of work. And so you guys did very well. Thank you. So we'll go ahead and move on. Do you want to click the button for me? Sorry, I should have clicked the button for you. Okay. So, different outreach kind of things that we do. And yes, ma'am? Yes, yes.
I noticed that you kind of brought people up, well, except for Deborah, she's actually in the
Uh-huh.
department. The other two are not. Do you ever take out other faculty and staff with you all? Is that helpful, not helpful? Like, how specifically can we help you guys with the recruitment and retention efforts?
So helpful. Okay, so like Ron said earlier, there are times that our staff is strapped, I'm strapped, I have several different things that we have going on. This is why we're doing this, because we need help. So we need help. So if you guys can just know the basics, because let me tell you something, I've been doing this for a few years now. I don't know everything. Things change all the time. Unfortunately, sometimes I hear the last little bit about different program changing, and so, but I say, hold on, let me give you my card. I'll touch base with DMP and kind of see what's going on, and then I get back with that student. So good. Yes, we want you to come out and help. We do have a recruitment calendar as well. It has all of our events on it. So if you see anything on there that you may be interested in, it always says who to contact. It's usually myself or Ron. We tell you about approximately how many students are going to be at that event. Sometimes it's those larger events from anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 students, and sometimes we get those. It's a lot of people that come. So usually that takes 2 people out of our office trying to handle those. But anyways, you guys can definitely come. We want you guys to come. You guys are experts in your area and field. I'm the generalist, okay? I'm the primary care physician. You guys are the specialty in your field. So, I'm not a cardiologist, so I don't want nobody, but I can probably tell you have a common cold, okay? So those are the things that we kind of want to do. So we want you guys to come out and represent your areas. And they like to talk to you guys. I wish Deanna was in here, because Deanna will tell you, like, they come and they didn't know. Culinary, they're my, culinary is always there, like anytime I need them. My technical sciences guys, like they're there, like if they're able to come, they're able to come. But yeah, so don't shy away. It's fun to get to meet new people. One thing I would like to say, this is kind of off topic, I don't know how these fairs are going to go sometimes, okay? So sometimes when they say, hey, it's UA-PTC day at X high school, they want all of us to come. Okay, we're there. You know, we're all there. It's exciting. But we get there, and there's a field trip that day, and somebody got in trouble, and all of a sudden, there's 6 departments represented. It's great. We're having a good time. But we only see, like, maybe 50 or 60 students. I'm sorry. Thank you for taking your time out to help me and do this right here. I don't have control. It really makes me kind of sad when I say, well, this was a waste of my time. Like, I could have been doing something else and da-da-da-da. And it's like, but that was 60 students that had no idea about us. Yeah, you didn't see like 500 like you were hoping, but you saw those 60. And so that's the only thing, like, try to stay positive with it, because there's sometimes, I mean, my bosses, they know that sometimes I go and they're like, well, how many people you saw? And I'm like, only 10. But you know what? That's 10 that didn't know about us, you know, and it was always good. You know, I went to a facility last week, and I was like texting them, I was like, y'all owe me about this one. But at the end, it was so good. Like, I texted them, I was like, y'all, this was so awesome. I really like this. I'm gonna go back to this. Like, they were so good. So, you know, sometimes I go in and I'm like, I don't know why I'm here. But at the end, I'm like, that's why I was here. Like, there's a reason that we're here for. So, but yeah, we want you to come. We want you to help. Like the ARKACRAO events, they're kind of tailored just for the recruitment side of the house. But some of those career fairs that we have and the events that I text you guys or email you guys all the time, like, hey, I need some help. Those are things that they kind of want you to come out to those high schools. So those are the later. So after September, all of those other things, those are private things that different high schools and middle schools and different areas are doing. So, but yes, yes, ma'am.
Is there a specific group that you email when you have events? Or do you want us to call you guys and check the calendar once a month? Or?
That's a good question. Right now, I usually email most of my deans and chairs of the departments, because sometimes they have different, they tell me what they kind of want usually, so that's who I email usually, is our dean. But yeah, I mean, if you tell me that you're interested in doing some things, I'm more than happy. I will get you kind of on that docket. Look at the recruitment calendar. This is a conversation. What would be easier for me to tell you, like, different things that can happen? Yes, sir.
You can actually subscribe to the recruitment calendar and put it in your Outlook so that it comes up just like your regular Outlook calendar does, if you want to really keep up with it.
Okay, thank you. So we can do that. Anything else? Good questions. Okay. Oh, yes, ma'am.
In regards to your reentry fair, what are we doing for that, and where do we go?
Okay, so the reentry fair is going to be next Friday at the workforce down off the university. So they asked us to be set up to talk to reentry citizens and just talk to them and show them the opportunities that we have at UA-PTC. So if you're able to join me, I would love that. Yes, ma'am.
Define reentry.
Reentry is people that may have been incarcerated, and so we will be working with people that are getting out. So they are some federal, LaVon, do you want to speak on the financial aid side of the house? Because I know sometimes they may or may not be able to have aid, correct?
Depending on what their offense was.
Yes, ma'am.
Typically, I've gone before. Are you going to the same place that I went that time? I know that
It's going to be down off University, something else.
over by the VA or UAMS, there's a facility that houses students who are going through the transition to be released. And so I've been there before, and we talked to them about the things that they can do while they're incarcerated to prepare for when they are released, so that their financial aid process won't be a burden. The documents that they would need to have on hand, to show why they had no income during a set period of time. And the things that they can write letters out to have others do for them while they're still incarcerated. So I was very surprised. Sam and I went last year, and it was a very good event. I think we had 40 or 50 people that we spoke to. I don't know what the return was on that, but
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
Another thing about the reentry programs, we've actually been invited out to a number of reentry programs throughout the year. There are different programs that are offering services for people who have been incarcerated that are looking to come back into the job force. Probably the most common questions we get in those situations are about the different programs that we offer, like which ones would they actually be able to go into, what type of jobs would they be able to get going out. Now, there are some particular resources and things out there. I actually found something online the other day that actually had like a listing by state of felon-friendly employers, because that's a very important thing, and it's the most common question I get is like, if I go through, I get this degree, will I be able to get a job in it? I also direct them to like our different program directors, because they normally know the employers and have some knowledge of who may be willing to hire and not. Also, we do have to tell them sometimes, depending on what your felony is, if there's a certification required for it, you may not be able to get that certification. And so, but I will tell you, like LaVon said, the events we've gone to have actually been pretty good events. And for those potential students that we've worked with, they've probably done more research than like a lot of our high school students. Like we had one group we actually brought here on campus last semester, and maybe 2 or 3 in the room actually had already started some college. And most of them already kind of knew what program that they were looking to go into, and it was just trying to figure out what we had, whether we would take the credits that they currently had from another institution and things like that. So yeah, these have been actually pretty good programs for us to go out to. And right now, yeah, we haven't necessarily looked at return on investment, but these are some of the things that we're looking to track in the future, looking at the events we go into and like who enrolled with us after that.
Yes, Sheree.
regarding recruitment and the different populations, I know historically we have a high population of non-traditional students, but we're kind of seeing that shift a little bit with more traditional students. Has our recruitment plan changed to target more of those traditional students? And that's the first question. And the second question is, are you looking at any partnerships like Easton and UA Little Rock, where they, are actually targeting specific high schools in our area? Like, for instance, when I think about the closest high schools, which would be North Little Rock High School, as well as the COE down the hill, as well as maybe even as far as Sherwood or the high school. What's the one up there? Lisa Academy out north. So I'm thinking about the ones like within a 5 to 10 mile radius of us. Are we partnering with them? Are we? I mean, when I think about recruitment, like, are we hitting that hard?
The answer to all that is yes. No, honestly, pretty much all the schools within our service area we have pretty good partnerships and relationships with, and we see them often. Now, one thing that we do try to do is see them in different capacities. One thing I've learned in time with recruitment, you can go out and visit that same school over and over and over just doing visits, and it gets old. It gets stagnant, and you're not being received the same way. And I don't want to say it's a waste of your time, but it's not as impactful. However, if you can go through it different types of ways, like a lot of the schools within our area, we have early college partnerships with. That's one way that we're able to have some touch with those students. Other times we may go out for school visits, or we may see them at college fairs. We've been trying to invite more of those students and more of those schools to come out and visit our campus, so that can be another opportunity we have to touch those particular populations. But yes, if it's within our service area, we have pretty strong relationships there. Now, as far as the shift, there has been the shift. Some of it may have been more intentional, and others have just been driven by market and things like that. I can tell you, like, the non-traditional population is probably kind of dipped in most places, but that normally is driven by the job market. When the job market's on the decline, the non-traditional population in college goes up because everybody goes back to school, whether if it's for survival or trying to just get a different credential so that they can find a job. But when the economy bounces back and there's more jobs, the non-traditional market tends to go down too. I'll talk to this a little bit more later. I don't want to give away too much of what's left on the presentation, but we are looking at different ways to try to continue to maintain that, because traditionally our non-traditional population here has been pretty large. But I can tell you, as we've shifted, you can see it kind of like within the age ranges too, that our non-traditional population has decreased in time, and that's probably that, from what I can see with the data, that's been probably our biggest drop off has been our non-traditional population. But I will tell you this, they're also the hardest ones to recruit because you don't necessarily have the same platform that you do with a high school student. You already know you go to a high school, they're there. When they come to a college fair, they're there. When you go out to different things within the community to try to reach out to your non-traditional population, you never really know who all is going to show up. But, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
I hear us talk about the academic side, but do we do a lot of community outreach on the other side? Like in August, there's a big push for helping kids in high school or in school period with free school supplies. But they're for the younger kids, but the parents are there. And so there's a lot of vendors there, but we're never there. Do we do that?
Yes, yeah, we do. They just got to contact me. I've worked with, yes, if you know an event, Ms. Terry, that you know that's happening, if you just let me know, we kind of take care of it. Before, PR marketing handled a lot of our community outreach, but that's kind of like, they're kind of, you know, not doing that right now. But like tomorrow, I'm actually going to Mamas Unite Us. It's actually some mothers that just got it together. They're Hispanic mothers, and they kind of want me to come out and speak to their students, their parents, and their children to try to get, because we don't really have a big outreach in the Hispanic community. So I'll be doing that. So yes. We've done Bash on the Boulevard, which that was a thing down in Maumelle. We've done the Salt Bowl. We've done that down in Benton. So we do stuff. We work on Saturday. We work on Sunday. So if there's something out there, just let us know. Like, you know, I may need your help because I can't be at everything, but yeah, if there's something out there, you guys know, I've done church events. I've done just about a little bit of everything. Like, there's like really no limits. Like I went to a child facility hospital to recruit. So we do everything. So whatever, yes. I do really enjoy doing those little community outreach because, like you said, it may be too small for the kids, but we have pencils, but then I get to talk to those parents as well. You see what I'm saying? Our house, I've done some events at our house as well.
And they always be like, oh, the computer lady is here.
Yes, yes, yes. And if you want to go, yes. And if you want to go and represent us, like, I will give you a bag of goodies and you can go and do that too if you want to. So, yes, Ms.
I
Kelly.
was just going to add, that's a great question. I want to add, we've talked about this and we've actually discussed this with PR marketing, and there are a lot of the community events that, keep in mind, they charge us to be there, and we have to take that into account as well. We have to take into account what they're charging us, who that audience is, and what the return on that investment is going to be. So I know this is just being honest. It's a
It
good
is.
point, and it's being honest that we've kind of been, I've heard some criticism in the past about that, but we are researching this. We are looking at what it costs. We're looking at who that audience is going to be. And so we do have to keep that in account, take that into account as well. So, but we want the suggestions. If we hear things like Ms. Terry just said, give us those suggestions so that we can look into it
Yes.
and see who that audience is going to be. And if it's free, yes.
Yes.
And if it's not free, then we just have to look and see what kind of investment we're going to get.
Yes.
You know, on return on the investment.
Yes.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Because some of these booths are like thousands of dollars, guys. And
Yes.
y'all, we just went through a whole zero-based budgeting thing. Like thousands of dollars for us to come. Is that going to be worth our monies? Probably not. I mean, honestly, probably not, depending on. So, yes. Good questions, good questions. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
So, like for transfers for our services, we can't recruit unless the student's actually already enrolled here on campus. But when you guys are, I know we're listed in the little catalog. But when students come up, do you guys mention like the support programs on campus as far as, so they're not thinking that they're going to be on their own, or like are those highlighted just as much as the academic side of?
Yes, because we do have students that ask about stuff like that. And so we do definitely tell them about your different services that you guys provide. And that goes across the board. If you have any more like kind of brochure kind of things that you can definitely give to us, or we can request them, you know, because sometimes they want to bring stuff, or even business cards. If y'all just got some business cards, because I have all the culinary business cards, I get everybody's business cards. So if you just give me business cards and they're asking for something, I can just say, hey, contact Desiree. She'll be the one, like whenever you get admitted and stuff like that, she'll be the one to get you squared away. So yes, ma'am. Good questions, good questions. Anything else? Okay, so of course marketing, well I just want to speak on something because the sign-in days, because I know April's not here, but take this back to April. April, if you're watching, April. Sign-in days, we do those. Those are kind of things that are up and coming now, because sign-in days before was just for people that were doing some kind of sport or something like that. They're doing academic sign-in days. I know Miss Renee went down last year, and she actually was able to give one of the students a white coat and get ready for the culinary program. It was so awesome. And I was able to go to several different events as well. I didn't have a white coat, but I had a UA-PTC t-shirt. I got to put it on them. So it was really cool. So we do those sign-in days. They are coming back and we love it. Sheridan sign-in day, if y'all can come with me to Sheridan sign-in day, it is big. They do a good job. I mean, we're on the football field. We have balloons. We get to release balloons in our color of our institution. It is so much fun. So we do those sign-in days and they're fun. So marketing and campaign, of course, print materials. We highly love Amy because she actually does most of she does all of our print materials. Let's be real. So she does all our print materials. I know a lot of you guys, if you guys are going out and about, you guys usually come to admissions and say, hey, I got an event. Can I have some stuff? Well, Amy told me that I'm supposed to keep my stuff, and if you guys need anything, just let her know, and then she can get you some materials to take with you. But if you're in a bind or something like that and she's not around, yes, you can come and get some materials, and we'll make sure you guys have something to take to the event that you're going to. The online presence, of course, we have our Facebook and things like that. Diamond Chef was all over, last night and this morning, but we always have registration. We don't want to wait now. We kind of want to make sure that we have that online presence. We want it to be a positive, because we know if you go in Google reviews, sometimes it's not as positive. We want it to be more positive. Just corresponding through the institution, and then the radio and news. So we're trying to get out there, trying to make sure that students and the community knows who we are and the good things that we're actually doing in Central Arkansas.
Okay, now as far as some of the different tools that we use for our different marketing campaigns, I think we've all had our fair experience working with our new Genzabar system. Haven't we? Haven't we all had that? Now, you've probably heard horror stories about it, but honestly, there's been a lot of good to come from it. I know for us in admissions, one of the most positive things that we got from it is the JRM system. The hard part is just trying to navigate through it to do our day-to-day duties as far as processing students. But the most beneficial part of it has been the marketing and communication piece to it. JRM, I just kind of threw it out there without explaining what the acronym was. It's the Genzabar Recruitment Manager. What it does, it's a mobile-friendly application. Students can actually go out and do our application on their phones now, and they can actually track the application through that. It also has real-time reports, which are some of the screenshots that you see up there from the reports that pop up on my profile or my dashboard. And those can show me where applications are at. It can show me application statuses. It can actually show me where the applications are coming from. It's broken down by state, but 95 to 99% of our students are from right here in Central Arkansas. But you can go out and you can set up those different reports, and you can get real-time data as far as how things are moving along. You can also go out and you can use it to push out events to let students know about different events that we're having on campus, and also track events that we go out to and kind of what that return is. Kind of like Kelly was mentioning earlier, a lot of the things that we go out and attend, because we get invited, we probably make about 75% of the things we get invited to. We try to go to most, but there are a lot of things that we can't. And so we have to make decisions on what to go to. And a lot of that comes from tracking data from the previous year, looking at costs and things like that. But this is going to be one of the tools for tracking those events and kind of what that return actually is. Now, other parts of other things that we can do. We can run different campaigns out of JRM. Something we've been able to do now that we haven't been able to do in the past, when the student goes out and applies, they instantaneously get, or at least at a certain time that we set for like the next day, they get an automatic email that says, thank you for submitting your application to us. Then after that, they get what's called the application tracker feature. One of the, probably the most calls that we get in our office are students calling us just asking, where am I at in the process? What do I need to turn in? The application tracker will tell them that. They get that particular function and they can see what items that they've turned in and what items they're missing. Now, with the campaigns, we have it set up that after like a certain amount of time, if the student hadn't gone back and done anything with the application, they get another reminder like, hey, we got your application. You know, you can still turn these things in to finish out your process. And so it's set that way. And then after the student does finish their process, they get you have been accepted email, and then they'll get another email later that will talk to them about registration and how to go about doing those things. But having a system like this in place, it helps us out because the students that we're working with today, you hear a lot about millennials, you hear a lot about the next generation out there. Some of it's true. And probably one of the most truthful things is that we are in a microwave society. When our students turn an application, they want to hear something back from you within seconds. This sends them out an email at least by the second day, but we'll have people call as soon as they've submitted the application wanting to know, what else do I need to do? So it helps us to meet that particular demand, to get that information out to them, and it kind of helps usher them through the process. Now, for a lot of our students who are readmit students who've been here before, this is totally new to them, and that's when we have to do a lot of explaining about walking through the process. But for the most part, we've gotten pretty good results from it. I know Zach has been able to go out and track the analytics. We've had pretty high feedback as far as students that actually, we talk all the time about students going out looking at their emails. We have a pretty high response rate of students that go out and check it after they get messages from JRM. We're also able to set campaigns for different events that are going on. We're able to set campaigns for registration. Pretty much anything that's going on, we can set campaigns in here to go out and remind students to try to help usher them through our different processes. And there's other things that we would like to do with this in the future, partnering with our various departments around campus. Another huge benefit is it does create a more customized experience for our students. I think one of the things that freaked me out about it when we first got it was that when we had to start setting up all the profiles and everything, it had what it was calling contact owners, and the contact owners had to have territories. And I was like, my goodness, how are we going to work this out? Because when I hear those things, I think about larger institutions that have recruiters that recruit particular areas. I'm like, is this going to force us to have to do that? To an extent, it does. But the purpose behind it is that now the students will get a particular individual they can contact. I can't tell you how many times when I pick up the phone, I'm like, oh my God, I'm just happy I got a person. And I'm like, I didn't think we had a lot of automated messages around here. But people are happy to make contact with somebody. At my time here at UA-PTC, I'll tell you, it surprised me how many phone calls that we actually get. I'm used to students having more email communication and things of that nature. Our students call. Our students call here, and they want to have someone to talk to. And that's part of what the contact owners are for within this. They'll have an individual, a name, an email address, a phone number who they can reach out to for questions. And that leaves a good impression on our students. They like having that one person to work with. You'll realize this sometimes too. If a student works with you first, they'll ask you questions about everything. If they come meet someone from a department, they want you to tell them about admissions, financial aid, and everything else. They don't want to have to go everywhere else. Once they make that contact with someone, that's who they want to work with. And this kind of does that for them. It'll get them to our reps, and they'll be able to kind of usher them through the whole onboarding process until they get enrolled as a student. Now, another tool that we've recently started using is through ACT. We've actually been using ACT's EOS system, or the Educational Opportunity Service system. You can utilize it to go out, pretty much all students, since we're ACT state, all of our students go through and take the ACT. You can actually utilize ACT to purchase leads or purchase names. You can go in and set particular criteria, and you can recruit in that way. It also helps expand our reach, as I was mentioning earlier. I've seen it used where you can go in and set criteria for certain ACT scores to try to figure out who's scholarship eligible. And we've sent letters out to students like, hey, did you know you're eligible for our scholarship? May have been someone who hadn't even thought about attending your school. Now all of a sudden they found out, hey, I can go to this school for free. And so it's a good way to reach out to them. Now recently ACT, within their EOS system, they started another program called ACT Enroll. Now, I wish I could explain to you all the details about ACT Enroll, but instead of doing that, I'll tell you what I know about it that's important to us. One of the things that ACT Enroll does is that through it, you can actually get a list of students that are on free and reduced lunch at their high schools that have taken ACT for free. With the other names, you normally have to purchase them. With those particular students, you can actually get the names for free. I know we had a workshop down on our South Campus, and SU Newport was there, and they utilized this system. And I think it was, 6 weeks before classes started, they actually went in, generated a report, found some students, sent out like thousands of emails to students, and ended up getting like 81 new students. To a lot of people, 81 may not sound like a lot, but if we can get 81 new students here with nothing but an email, I would welcome that. And with the criteria being that students are on free and reduced lunch, taking ACT, when I look at our particular student demographic, that's probably a very large percentage of our students. And this is contact that we can have with them for free, just by going in, generating a report, and sending out messages to them. I know Zach was actually able to run it, and how many were you able to send it out to?
1,700 students.
And that was just within our service area, within our counties. We didn't send it like statewide. And so that's a pretty good tool to be able to use. And basically it was just a message that went out to them to tell them, you know, registration is starting up. If you're interested in attending, these are some of the steps that you can take. And oftentimes that's all you have to do. Now, let's talk about something else that's very important to us in recruitment, and that's our campus visit. Uh-oh, tearing up stuff. Now, you think about all the other reasons that students indicate that they attend a college. Majors, cost of attendance, campus safety, the value of their education, the degree, all of that. When you look at the stats, these are the most important reasons why students tend to be influenced to go to a particular college. However, some guy sat down and decided he was going to try to research the underlying factors that go within that. It's like, why are these things so important? Where do they find out this information that helps them to determine that this is the school they want to go to? And so he, like some other researchers, determined that the campus visit was one of the most influential determinants of where our student attends a particular college. As it also says that a student that comes on a campus visit, they're twice as likely to attend a particular university. And I can make a lot of assumptions why, and I can look at the research why. A lot of it, when the student comes out to visit your campus, you have to keep in mind that they already have some vested interest in you to be there. How many of us go to a car lot when we don't need a car? How many of us go to the grocery store when we don't need food? You go to these places because you have some interest, you have some need. There's a reason for you to be there. You're searching for something. And when students come out to on our campus for various reasons, they're searching for something. Now, the campus visit can come in many forms. Probably the most common ones are our campus tours, when students actually come out, sign up, and say they want a tour or give us a call. We also have particular events set aside where they come out. Open house events, like the Premier Day that we had last fall. Manufacturing Day is a huge one for us, for the number of students who come out to that. The various STEM days, the STEM Success is hosted. Various workshops, conferences, campus events, things that we're having over in charts. Anytime that we have, even Diamond Chef, anytime that we have people on our campus, it's an opportunity to recruit them to become prospective students here. So we have to make sure that we make the most out of all of those opportunities. Now, I think this was the College Choice Study. This one went out and conducted, and they looked at the various reasons or the things about the campus experience or the campus visit that had the most positive impact on students attending. Now, you may not be able to see all this from this distance, but the two top things were friendly people, friendly atmosphere, both at 28%, and the appearance of campus. that beat out such things as the campus life, the curriculum and majors offered. So you have to keep in mind that those impressions that students have of the people, those impressions that students have of the facilities, the appearance of campus, they have a very large bearing on whether or not the student plans on attending. I was reading one vignette that was in one of the studies where there was a mom who was taking her daughter on a campus visit. They pulled up at the campus in the parking lot, and at that moment the student said, "I can't go to school here." And the mom asked why, and she was like, "Those buildings are too old." Well, surprising, it's not like all of our institutions have all been built in 2017 or 18. There's a lot of old historic institutions. But you have to think from the mindset of a student. And then from some of the research that I looked at, the facilities, in essence, are a reflection of everything else that are going on the campus. Even our offices are. Everything that we do, everything that we say, everything that happens when the students on our campus is having some type of influence on their opinion of the college. So you have to be very aware of that, and you have to utilize that as a tool in recruiting a student. I will admit, when we have students on campus visiting, we have very designated places to take them. We take everybody to charts. They have to see it. It's our newest facility. It's our nicest facility. They have to see that. We can't let them walk away without it. When they're at South, they have to go to culinary. Even if they're not interested in it, they're going to see culinary because it's a great facility. The thing about it, even if a student's not interested in those things, now all of a sudden they make this connection to the state-of-the-art institution with these really nice facilities and these nice programs going on. If you have a student that's interested in our technical programs, you want to make sure that they have the opportunity to go in and touch something. Not anything dangerous, but you want to make sure that they make that connection. This is what I want to do when you guys have it. And all of a sudden, that's part of the hook. So when you bring students out, or when we bring students out to the campus visit, you want to make sure that they have the opportunity to see those things and experience those things. Now, I posted this just because I know some of you were asking earlier, like, where can you participate in some of these things? If you can't do anything else, just smile and wave. And I mean that seriously, because honestly, and you saw it on the other slide, the atmosphere means a lot. I can tell you from my own experience when I was, actually looking to be an undergraduate, I had a friend attending one of our other local institutions. I won't call any names, but they are in Little Rock. And my friend attended there because he was from Little Rock. I'm way from down south in Dumas, Arkansas. So Little Rock is still a big city to me. And so, wanted to hang out with my friend. I visited the school he was attending. I loved the classroom. Instructor was very engaging, knew I was visiting, even asked me questions. I'm like, man, I'm loving this. But it was just a walk around campus in the atmosphere, how people greeted. Like, I'm from the country, everybody speaks to everybody, if you know them or not. But when you're walking around and people are kind of mean mugging you, like, why are you here? Who are you? I'm like, dude, I can't do this. I can't go to school here. You'll be the only friend I'll have, probably. And so those things make a difference. So when I say smile and wave, it's actually serious. When we have students coming by, if you see us with a large group, you don't have to say a lot, just engage. Let them know that you're here. Because it's all part of the campus culture. I can't tell you the number of times we walked around campus and Dr. Ellaby, I passed Dr. Ellaby in passing and she'll stop and speak. And it's good to be able to look at that student like, hey, that was our college president right there. That was our chancellor. Now, when mom and dad around, it has more of an influence just because kids titles mean nothing to the students. But to the parents, it means everything. Like, so your college president stopped and spoke to us while we were here. So your vice chancellor of this particular department came and spoke to us while we were here. We went in the bookstore and those people were really friendly to us. All those little interactions mean a lot to people when you do that. I remember a presentation I went to before and some of you may have heard this story before, but they were giving a presentation, they were talking about the NASA culture. And they said you can go around NASA, and I think they were giving a tour, and they walked up to one of the janitors and kind of asked, so what do you do around here? And he was just sweeping, us like, we send people to the moon. So he was invested. He didn't say, I'm a janitor, I sweep, I clean. We send people to the moon. Everybody has a part in that culture that you're trying to put out there. So you want to make sure that everybody on campus falls in line with that, because any interaction can either be a deal maker or a deal breaker when we're working with our students.
Ron,
Sure, go ahead.
little bit further to that. I've been doing some research, and if you can get a student to visit your campus, that increases the likelihood of their enrollment. And what a lot of colleges are doing, they're putting together virtual tours so that the students can actually visit the campus without physically being present and get an idea of what you have and your what you can offer. So a lot of and it's having some success.
Yes. Well, I can remember about a couple years ago, and I'll have to go through this whole story, but quickly. And I can't take credit for it. Actually, it was Deborah in our office that was looking at some 360 videos on her phone and showing them to me, and I thought it was the most amazing thing in the world. I mentioned it to Lennon, not really knowing if we could or couldn't do it, and Lennon was kind of like, man, this is cool, maybe we should try this. I guess just knowing myself, I get preoccupied with everything else and things will sometimes die out. Lennon was persistent on it. He kept the idea going, and then I think he got it to Shannon, and the next thing you know, we were sitting down having meetings about what can we do to set this up. And there are a lot of companies out there that will do it for you for, you know, a low price. But Lennon was actually able to go out, do these videos, and we've actually gotten quite a bit of acclaim for having those 360 videos out there. I know the events we've brought students up and we've given them the goggles, they've been in love with it. I know one of the guys that's in the drafting program, he shows the ones he have. And you know, our students are into virtuality now, and you're right. Having that as a tool that they can go out and take a look and see things even before stepping foot on the campus, it makes a huge difference. And even the ones who are on our campus, looking at our campus through 3D goggles on campus, it still makes a pretty huge difference with them too. I know it's helped us out a lot in those situations where students have come here to this campus and wanted to see more about South or vice versa. It's like we're able to show them a lot more. I know for Vince's program at Aerospace, we don't get to send as many students out there. So they had that opportunity to see what's going on out there. So it's been a really helpful tool for us, and I'm glad that we've been able to get that instituted, and we try to push it as much as we can.
Has anybody seen our 360 tours?
Okay.
They're really nice. They're awesome.
Now, some more of the research that I looked into, more institutions are looking to do more as far as involving the faculty in their recruitment processes. Now, this is something that I pulled up, and I actually really like what they had to say, is that mobilizing the talents of some of your most credible messengers, your faculty, can strongly influence prospective students or their perception of the university and their decision to apply. And the Vice President of Academics at ARKACRAO University stated that it takes a campus to recruit, and once you get students here, to retain them upon graduation. The good part about having faculty recruitment, because you are experts in your area. Like Hannah mentioned earlier, coming from the admissions office, we're generalists. We represent everybody, and we give little details about each program. But when students need something a little bit more specific, they need to talk to a faculty member who can guide them through that. When students are trying to look at what's the potential for the job market for my program, what is the projection on that, they need to talk to a faculty member about that. The other part that's great about that is that there's an immediate connection that's made. We'll talk a little bit more about retention at the very end of this, but when students are able to meet a faculty member, make that connection, they're building up a support system here at the institution. So when you do that, all of a sudden the student knows the program they want to go into, especially for the ones that are kind of wishy-washy, not sure about what direction they want to go in. I will admit there's been times where students have flipped on us on a campus tour. They came in the door, they signed up, I want to see this area, then after a tour, they're like, hey, I want to do dental assistant now because their program looks cool. It makes a huge difference when they're able to see, talk to you, and learn more about what you do. So the faculty involvement is huge for our recruitment efforts. Now, as far as some recruitment goes, things that you can do within your area. If you haven't done it before, or if you haven't already had it, I know some of you have. I know like the business department, business and IT, we've talked about it, they have a recruitment plan for their department. Whether or not you're an academic department or if you're a student services department, you can create a recruitment plan for your area. Basically what you're going to look at is establishing a base. And what that means is who are the students that you work with most often. We talked a little bit about our how things have changed as far as the trend with our traditional age high school students versus our non-traditional students. Well, our traditional age is our base. Simply what that means is you have to find the ones that you're going to be able to get here every semester, that you're going to be able to recruit every semester, that's going to help you maintain some numbers, keep some lights on, whatever it is that you have to do. That's what the base is. These are area high schools. For us, the areas that we have career coaches in Little Rock School District, those are pretty vital for us because that's a huge investment to have them there, and also it's a huge benefit to have them there. So our base starts within our service area. Anything outside of that is a huge plus for us if we can draw some students in from outside of the base. When you're talking about programs, you may want to take a look at some of the different demographics and statistics within your program. I've noticed within some programs, you have more non-traditional students going into a particular area. Some you have more traditional age students. You have some where you'll have more students that have been coming back in, that are switching jobs and things like that. Identify who your base is, and that's where you put the biggest concentration of your efforts. And then if you want to take on other initiatives outside of that, you can go from there, but you want to have something to build from. Also, you want to gather support and resources. And what I mean by that, what I kind of talked about with the community partners, the different agencies and things like that, you want to know who they are. I know for us, our primary communications from admissions is going to be high school counselors. We're working with high school students. A lot of times if you are an instructor or program director, you may have a direct connection to the various teachers of your particular area. And I know we've discovered, like from this summer, we had several meetings with some of our local high school teachers that were like in career and technical education. And we found out the disconnect between the teachers and the counselors during those meetings. We found out a lot of the information that we're giving the counselors, they're not sharing it with the teachers. And so at that point, we're like, we need to have some direct contact with these teachers in these areas because they have programs that will matriculate directly into the programs that we offer. So we started to reach into that more. But this is also where some of our departments can connect, create some relationships there too. When I think about our different community partners, I started compiling the list of different community partners, after school agencies and things like that we can reach out to when we have events. If I'm not mistaken, Bentley actually shared a pretty comprehensive list that he had. And so we try to do in those situations, if it's something that's pertaining to them, we're offering something that we think they'll be interested in, we want to maintain communication with them. But that's something that everybody can do. When you find different organizations or people that are hosting things, keep their information. Because when we're doing things, when we're having different activities and events, we can make sure to reach out to them to keep them in the loop. Also, you want to make sure that you collect, share, and analyze data. Now, one of the reasons why, and it's hard to see that chart down there, but I'll say that Lennon probably saved my life last year because I remember we held the open house. We've held 2, and we just couldn't get the numbers where we wanted. And I know we made a lot of efforts. We reached out in different ways to a lot of people, and we just could not get the numbers we wanted. And I was having a conversation with Lennon one day, and he was showing me the analytics where we looked at when we sent out messages, when we went out to schools, when we delivered things, and you can see kind of where things were spiking, like, okay, people were getting the information that we were sending out. We just didn't get the attendance that we wanted. So when you assess that, now you have to figure out the message got out, why didn't it come out? And so from some of our conversations with teachers, we started discovering that it was difficult for them to come out because, you know, I used to always think the spring was the time when transportation budgets got tight at the high schools. We had schools that said in the fall that they couldn't travel anymore. And so the next time we had Premier Day, we reached out, talked to them about their busing and what can we do to help. And we ended up with 400 last year, well, over 400. And that was actually without Pulaski County Special School District here because they were actually out that day. So we could have probably had another 200 to 300 students here for that particular event. But that comes from looking at the data, analyzing the data, and figuring out and assessing what it is that we needed to do to improve. And that's what we look to do each year. We want to have data-driven decisions on what we're doing with our recruitment. And then lastly, just being part of the onboarding process. Find a space where you can fit into that. Not everybody's going to be doing the same thing. Not everybody's going to be out somewhere recruiting and doing outreach. Sometimes it's just when you see people on campus become part of that event. It can just be that smile and wave. Whatever it is that you can figure out that you can do to contribute to it, we're all able to take part in it. And I appreciate all the efforts that everyone's made so far. When we've had events, people have stepped up. And I think each event has just gotten better in time, and I hope that we can continue to make them better that way. And lastly, these particular recruitment goals, I try to stay away from acronyms, but it's the military in me. This is what I consider my recruitment goal dream. One, I want to diversify and increase our enrollment. I know we've started some discussions about trying to get back to 7,000. And so we've kind of called it Project 7,000. It may not have been revealed somewhat, so I'm not going to give too many details on it. But that's one of our goals, is to get back up to 7,000 students. Also, we want to reach those populations that aren't attending college. Now, I showed you some of the demographics or some of the data as far as our college going rates of our area schools. What you generally have amongst the different colleges is we're all trying to recruit the same students. We're all looking at those students who are indicating they want to go to XYZ college, and we're seeing those students. What's happening to the ones that aren't going? Some may be going military, a lot of them aren't going anywhere. Who's reaching out to those students? Because a lot of them are going to be capable if someone tells them that they're capable. Part of the reason why we want to utilize the ACT the way that we're utilizing it is, can we reach out to those students? And there's different ways we can use that. We can reach out to students by score criteria. We can reach out to see students that might be a little short of the criteria and say, hey, we noticed that you were a little below meeting this particular placement score. Why don't you come out to our campus and take the AccuPlacer, because students tend to do better on it. Making that type of push, making that type of proactive communication with a student could be the difference in whether or not they decide to go to college or not. So we really want to reach out to that population. And then when we look at our non-traditional population out in the community, we're looking to reach out to those different agencies, be at those different programs, and trying to talk to those people to see if we can get them to enroll in college or back in college. We also want to enhance our student and faculty involvement. Since I've been here, from a recruitment standpoint, that's one of the things that we've probably struggled with the most, is getting our students involved in those processes. Having student involvement in our recruitment efforts is really a huge thing, because that's an immediate connection, a student-to-student connection. The students can share a perspective with other students that we can't, unless you're someone who's graduated from here. Oh, go ahead.
I don't know if you guys have thought about this, but the ambassadors, the student ambassadors, I wonder if they have your recruitment calendar, because they have to complete so many hours a year already. They would be great representatives.
Now, we have utilized them some in the past, but the thing with the ambassadors is that because they're scholarship, they can only do so many hours within the time. But some have been to some of the events. I remember one of the ambassadors at the bash on the boulevard with us. I think we had some ambassadors down at the Salt Bowl, didn't we? But I remember we have used them in some different situations, but we'd like to utilize more students in more of these events, especially when we have things on campus, if we can get more students involved in it.
Yeah, I think sometimes with the ambassadors too, we have to work with the class schedule. So when we have like 400 students on campus, I need them for the whole entire time and not like a 2-hour block. So I know that we haven't, that hasn't worked out well for us. But for some of our evening events or the weekend events, those kind of help out.
And really all the students would be there, as many students as possible.
Yes.
So definitely not limiting to ambassadors.
Yes, ma'am.
And lastly, we want to align our processes and our services. I know for us in our office, converting to this new system, just being able to go through our day-to-day processes with the efficiency and the timeliness that we did in the past has been somewhat of a struggle. We're trying to get back to that quick service for our students so that we can meet those needs. But we have the tools there, and we're just working to refine those. But that's one of our recruitment goals as well, because how you service a student also has a huge impact on whether or not that student's going to attend your institution or not. And lastly, let's maximize the interactions. I know we actually went through, kind of put together a chart of the different events that she's gone to just this spring. And we totaled up the amount of students that we saw at these events, and it was over 9,000. And we still have more to go to here before the end of the year. And we probably went to more in the fall. So when you think about the amount of students that we see, the amount of students we interact with on and off campus throughout the school year, it's a huge number. We see a lot of people. We talk to a lot of people. Let's maximize all of these opportunities, all these interactions, and tell the story of UA-PTC. Let's get our students. The thing I say in our office oftentimes is that, and since it's around prom season, I guess I can say this, I never want to feel like the second person somebody asked out to the prom. So many times I think we've settled for being their second, third choice school. You can't go anywhere else, come here. No, we need to become their first choice school. We need to educate students and let them know that, yes, you might want this 4-year degree, but you can come here, save money for your first 2 years, and then transfer there. There is no, if you pay attention to it, there's no mistake that the 4-year colleges are here to recruit our students. And I can tell you one of the bases or the reasons because of that. For those of you all who are handling our developmental, they love you. Because you're working with those students those first 2 years, you're getting them through that hard period. When they go 4-year, they don't have to deal with that anymore because you've already given them the tools to transition on. Because a lot of our 4-year institutions, yeah, their numbers are booming. They're going up, but they can't retain them. They'll go to the 4-year institution, in a year or 2 years, they're gone. And so overall, everybody's talking about enrollment numbers, but when you look at retention, it's not helping them either if they can't retain a student. So that's why you see the 4-year colleges coming here recruiting our students, because they know when they leave here, they are prepared and they will stay and they'll be able to retain them. And so it's good to be able to share that with students that you can come here and get prepared to go there. Just like when we had our little mock fair there, we get asked all the time about degrees that we don't offer. No, we don't have that degree, but you can start off here and get your associates and then transition on to other school to get it. So we make sure that that message is getting out. And for the programs that we do have, they realize that we have the agreements in place where they can make the transition. So definitely, when you look at those different interactions, we maximize them every way that we can, and we let students know what we have to offer as an institution. All right. Are there any questions? All right. Well, thank you all for coming out. I hope you got something from us today.